Welcome back. We're on the words ain't matching and the math ain't matching part 2. I am going to be really brief with that because since our last time, a lot has happened. Kat has come up with not all, but most of the transcripts of the trial, chiefly among them being Grace's testimony. So because of that, and because she's been posting snippets from those transcripts, it kind of changes the landscape of what it is I'm going to do today. However, I'm going to, as I promised, pick up from when they run from the vehicle and Grace ends up at the club and then eventually leaves and goes home. I'm not going to get into after she gets home like I intended to, because like I said, Kat and I are going to probably early next week get into breaking down all the inconsistencies in her testimony through the transcripts. So you guys are going to be able to kind of read along. We're going to do like a read along-ish type situation where it can be better understood and digested by you guys versus me just, giving my one-sided account. Now you can see for yourself exactly what she said in writing, and then we can compare notes. Okay. So also part of this stream at the end, I'm going to, I call it my dirty Cadillac, let you guys see the inside of my dirty Cadillac Escalade, just so you can get a better idea. For those of you who've never been in one or never owned, whatever, just so you can have a better idea of the layout, the distance between the two bucket seats that they were sitting in, what the driver could actually see, even though he said he was looking straight ahead, he could still see the back row and the two bucket seats from the rearview mirror. Even if from the naked eye of the passengers, it looks like he's looking straight ahead, you can still see through the back if you're looking up at the rearview mirror. That's going to be at the end of this. That's just to shed light on the inconsistencies in terms of, or would appear to be inconsistencies in terms of what she says happened or how it happened in the vehicle. Okay. In addition to questioning why nobody asked the driver more about looking in that rearview mirror and what he could actually see, even though he's looking straight ahead. Okay. So let's get to business really quickly. All right. So we know that Grace is the aggressor. She admitted as much. She testified to that. You will see that in black and white in those transcripts. Some of it is already posted on Twitter. The handle is at MZMarco, MarcoPolo. That's Kat's Twitter. Some of it is already there. So you can go there and see some of the inconsistent testimony. But to revisit, the text that set it off was Jonathan sending a song, D'Angelo song, to someone named Cleopatra. Cleopatra responds, "Wish I were kissing you right now." Grace snatches the phone, turns her back to Jonathan. He tries to retrieve the phone. Before I finish with that part, I just want to address all the people that are in my comments and everyone else's comments spreading misinformation about what you can legally do to not only protect yourself, but your personal property. You are legally, in the majority, if not all, of the states in the United States of America, allowed to exercise reasonable force to not only protect yourself, but your property and those of someone that you are trying to protect or their property, be it your family member, be it the little old lady crossing the street whose bag got snatched by some wayward kid. Okay. You cannot, though, use deadly force. You cannot use force that is not comparable to the force that was used to take your property. Okay. So let's say someone snatches my purse. I cannot go and turn and pick up a blunt object and bash them over the head. No, you cannot do that. That is excessive force. That is now a crime. Okay. But I can grab them. I can snatch the purse back. I can push them to get my purse back. And if they happen to get hurt in the process of that, charge it to the game. But I'm within my rights if the initial aggressive action against me took place to prompt me to respond in that way. Again, no, I cannot pull out a gun, shoot them. I cannot pull out a knife, stab them. I cannot do any of that. That's excessive force. That is not acceptable. That's deadly force if the person happens to die. So that is correct in that sense. But a lot of people are throwing out the word assault as if your intention is to assault someone when you're trying to defend yourself. Obviously, if someone punches me in the eye and I go back at them and we're now fighting, I was within my rights to defend myself. If, again, someone snatches my phone, snatches my purse, I'm in the grocery store and I'm minding my own business in the ethnic foods aisle, and someone snatches my shopping cart away, which may happen to have my purse or my phone in it, and I decide to snatch the cart back and they fall and sprain their ankle, again, you charge it to the game. You were the aggressor. You committed the first aggressive act against me. I am responding to that aggressive act within my legal rights. You happen to get hurt in the process. And now that the cops are involved, I'm being charged with a misdemeanor. That's literally what this whole case boils down to. And I'm gonna need y'all to stop that. Those of you, and if I see any comments to that extent, they're getting deleted. I'm not, and you're getting blocked. I'm not even going to entertain it anymore because I don't want people to be able to express themselves, but I do not want people spreading misinformation. It's one thing to express yourself and do it in a way that makes sense, or that you're trying to explain yourself to where you're making sense. But if you're just saying anything and you're just trying to be right for the sake of being right, but you're strong and wrong, you're getting deleted and blocked. Because my social media platforms are not going to be for pushing misinformation. We have enough of that going out there, and I'm certainly not going to play part of that just because I want to respect free speech. My personal pages are not bound by the First Amendment. So I'm just going to let you know that right now. My page, my rules. Okay. So let's go back. She says in these exact words regarding the phone, once she snatched it from him, he wasn't expecting me to take it, and that he tried and failed to pry the phone out of my hand. I bracketed her because I'm speaking about her, but the exact words was pry the phone out of my hand. Okay. She testified that she hit his arms and his shoulders as he sat in his chair. Okay. This is the chair of the Escalade that you will see soon at the end of this video. All right. So let's not forget, I've said this not only in my own videos, but in those of all the other creators that I've been a guest on their show, that she stated, and you will see this in the transcripts as well, once we get to that, that she never told anyone about any of what she was going through with Jonathan, because she's a private person, and her parents didn't know, her friends didn't know. This is what she testified to, and you will see that in black and white. However, when she was asked by the defense why she took that unauthorized audio, we're talking about the Obama King audio, why she took it, and if he knew she was taking it, she said no. She testified that these same friends that she did not tell anything to as far as what was going on between the two of them suggested that she keep documentation. So this goes back to part one of this, where I said she kept upping the ante when it came to how she started documenting things. She started documenting things as far back as the California incident that she alleges happened in July of 2022, where he supposedly threw and broke all those candles, and she took the still photograph. Then it escalated to her recording him without his permission when he had the whole Obama King conversation with her. Then it turned into her befriending and confiding in his friend and manager, Priya Sadiani. Then we escalate to the March 25th situation, where now she's texting, she's taking pictures, she's faking dead, you know, the whole thing. So again, contradictions, right? So you'll see it in black and white. Like I said, I'm kind of speeding through this one because a lot has come out now. We have the transcript. It was crowdfunded. So that's a good thing. So now you guys can see what I've been saying all along. And now you can put context to everything, right? Because I don't want you to just go by what I say. Just like you should not go by just what the media says, because clearly they didn't say anything that I said, but the transcripts are saying what I said. Okay, so we can do this. You know, I want you guys. I'm hoping that if nothing else, that this situation makes you think more critically, stop taking things at face value, stop using sound bites or allowing sound bites and headlines to dictate your worldview or your view of a situation, and start deep diving a little more into things where you're like kind of questioning, like, this doesn't sound right. Okay, so next up, again, we're revisiting what she said and did. She said she didn't fight back. This is in the transcript. She said that he was trying to get me off of him, trying to get me not to follow him. This is in the transcript. The driver also testified to that. She admitted to chasing him for probably a couple of minutes. We see this in the video. They're running at least 5 to 6 blocks. All right. All of this is in the video being contradicted. And all the video just from them exiting the Escalade to them running and her stopping in front of the Lafayette Street building where she meets Chloe. Okay. Chloe is the only witness I'm going with today because she's the only one that spent the entire night with Jabbari from the point of meeting her in front of the Lafayette Street building. Remember, Chloe testified several times that she saw no blood, no bruising, nothing. She saw nothing. The most that she recalls, and that's the snippet that the jury requested in relation to charge number 4, which was the harassment charge. All she said on testimony that was read back by the court reporter was that Grace mentioned that her finger hurt and that she made sure she got some ice. That's it. She said she did not see the injury. They did not discuss the injury at any point anymore after that. You see in several photographs that the defense presented that her hand was not injured at all. In the photograph that she took where her hand is on Sham's shoulder, the hand was not injured. The board certified ER doctor that the defense put on the stand said the same thing. We could see that. The TV was about 60 inches, only about 2 feet from the witness stand, only about 3 feet from the jury box. They could see it. There was no injury. I compare the type of injury that she had to when you stub your toe on the corner of your bed. Okay? You normally don't get any bruising from that. It hurts like hell, but you normally do not get any bruising from that injury unless you do something else. Let's say you stub it again, because that happens. It's happened to me before. I'll stub my toe, and if for some reason my toe is on a campaign to keep getting stubbed, and so it'll happen 2 or 3 more times that week. Then at that point, you start to see bruising. All right. Or I might have stubbed it once and then I had to go to work or I had to be somewhere the rest of that week and I'm wearing tight shoes, or I'm wearing shoes that are rubbing up against that toe and causing more friction or more agitation to that toe. So now it's starting to now you're starting to see bruising. Now you're starting to, feel a lot worse about it. So I'm saying that to say that there's a very possible reason why we didn't see any injury on that hand when her hand is draped around the shoulder of Shams, because it was very early on in the injury. And as you see through all the surveillance that night, the surveillance that was released anyway, that night, she's using her right hand the entire night. She's using it to dance when they're spinning around dancing. She's using it to sign the check for the drinks. She's using it to hold on to the handrail as she's walking up the stairs. She's using it to hold Chloe's hand. They're holding hands most of the night. She's using it to open different things. That's her dominant hand, clearly. So if you injure something and initially it's not showing bruising, it will if you keep putting pressure on that area. And again, I don't dispute that she was injured. We know she was injured. The question is how and when. Okay. I personally feel, and I've said as much, and you guys can see for yourself, because the injury was isolated to just this small area on that one finger, there was no injury to the rest of the hand. It very likely occurred one of the 3 times that she grabbed Jonathan's jacket. She grabbed him twice that we saw as he was exiting the Escalade, and he yanked away twice. She testified to grabbing him a 3rd time that we did not see. The 2nd time he got into the Escalade when Chloe got involved, and he was only in the car for about 5 seconds before jumping out again. That was when Grace testified to grabbing his coat a 3rd time and ripping the buttons off. That's when the buttons came off. So to me, and I said as much, it seems like that finger got snagged or yanked at one of those points, maybe all 3 of those points, because her right hand is her dominant hand, and that would explain why it was just that small part of her finger, similar to like you stubbing your toe on the edge of the bed, or smashing your finger in the drawer or in the door. It would just be that one area. It wouldn't be the whole hand unless you somehow got your whole hand slammed in the door or the drawer. It's usually an isolated area that those type of injuries occur in. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a surgeon. I'm a person that has lived long enough and has injured myself enough times. Injured myself enough times to know how it happens and what typically occurs after that point. Especially due to, my complexion, you can see injuries a lot easier on me. I also bruise really easily. And so that's part of why I have this tattoo. And I'm going to bring it down a little further because as you see, I'm pretty well bruised because I injure myself a lot, mainly because I'm clumsy. But I get it. I know as being a clumsy person that's not aggressively pursuing people, I'm just clumsy. I know how injuries occur and how they tend to manifest themselves over several minutes, hours, days, whatever, if you keep doing things or engaging in activities that, like the figure of speech goes, reopen the wound, if you will. And I feel the same thing about the injury on her ear. You'll see in the transcript, at least 60 times she goes like this. You see it in the videos. You don't get all the videos, but we saw more than you guys saw. But it was counted that at least 60 times she went like this. Her nails were really sharp, not long, but they were sharp because there is also photographic evidence showing blood caked in her nails on that same right hand that she used to sweep her hair behind her ear. Anybody that has had children or has been a child, when the weather changes and you don't lubricate your skin properly, you tend to get cracks. You might get cracks here. Kids get them a lot because they lick their lips and they don't necessarily take as good a care of themselves as we as adults do. So as kids, you might get a crack here. You might get cracks in between your fingers because your hands are dry and you're not moisturizing enough during that extreme weather. Remember, this was late March in New York. Late March may as well be late January because it's really cold up there. And that particular night, it was in the 30s. So not saying that was a chat bruise, but my point is, if you keep doing this enough times with sharp fingernails, and you initially cut yourself, but you keep doing this. You're drunk. You're not feeling that you cut yourself. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Eventually, the cut's going to get deeper and it's going to start bleeding. And that could be why there was no blood initially when Chloe met her, because she testified she did not see any blood. You also see in all the different surveillance videos of her and Grace, they're very clear. They're very high resolution. There is no blood anywhere on her ear, no injury to her hand that we can see. Chloe testified as much. You see it in the surveillance. You see it in the surveillance in front of Lafayette. You see it in the surveillance in the club. You see it in the surveillance outside of the club when Chloe walks her outside so that she can meet her cab. They hug 3 different times, ear to ear, right side to right side, in the view of the camera. And there is no bleeding, no bruising, no blood transfer onto Chloe. Chloe also testified that there was no blood transferred onto her. There's no blood transferred onto Shims when she had that same right side leaning on his shirt with her hand draped over his shoulder. No injury to her hand, no injury to her ear, no blood transferred to his shirt. Okay. Chloe, as we know, is the woman that we see talking to and hugging Grace in front of the Lafayette Street building. She testified that when she finally saw Jonathan, he had tears on his face. Why she volunteered that information, I don't know, but it was significant to me because it indicates that she obviously saw or felt something was off. And having no allegiance to either one of them, because she also testified that she and Grace are not friends and that she has not seen or heard from Grace since that morning of March 25th, 2023. She says she does not recall Jonathan yelling, and that she may have, in quotes, used the term that she heard Grace yelling at Jonathan. We know, even though the jury was not allowed to hear it, that there is some footage out of frame after Jonathan walks past and Grace approaches him asking about her purse and her her phone, that they go out of frame. The TMZ version of the video shows the whole thing where they round the corner and you can kind of see Chloe in the back, kind of rounding the corner with them. She does testify that she did follow behind them, and that's why we get the whole part of her saying that she may have said that she recalled Grace because Grace was yelling at her. There was a point during the initial cross on Grace where the defense kept asking her if she yelled, if she was shrieking. Obviously, there was a lot of objections and they were sustained. And Grace kept saying no. The defense was trying to open the door to that evidence that the judge did not allow, that because they were all out of frame, and he claimed that the judge claimed that because they were out of frame when the yelling took place, there was no way to determine if that was actually Grace. To which the defense said, well, she's the only one in that entire group with a British accent. Fell on deaf ears. He did not allow that in. But Grace is yelling. And this is what Chloe sort of testified to, but couldn't say much because obviously that evidence was not presented. But we do know that Grace was yelling hysterically at Jonathan as they rounded the corner. Okay. So they go through the entire night. We see several images of surveillance video and still photographs, selfies they took, all the different activity they were engaging in that night, dancing with each other, holding hands, Grace holding onto the banister. Like I said, as they're walking out to go get the cab, you see Grace stumbling into the wall, all that. All that's in the transcript. Again, we will go over that when I sit with Kat and we kind of dissect the transcripts, because like I said, I was going to go further into this leading up to the police arriving. But now that we have transcripts and now that we know Jonathan will be speaking on the issue, don't know how much he's going to get into it, but I'm absolutely positively proud and happy that he is speaking. Part of it will be aired on Good Morning America Monday morning, and then the rest of it will be aired on Hulu. on the reporter's Hulu channel. Go on my Twitter, go on Kat's Twitter, go on anybody that's supporting Jonathan Majors' Twitter, and you will see the details for those broadcasts. Because of all this transpiring since my last video, it kind of changed the landscape for what it is that I wanted to talk about today. But we're going to end with Chloe. We're going to end with Chloe walking her out of the club and her not being injured. They're hugging, her not being injured, and her clearly going home. This is also the time that she testified that she saw the text message. Oh, also of note, Grace had 2 phones in her hand that night because she said that she used one of the phones, I'm guessing this was her UK phone, to get Wi-Fi for the United States phone that she had. So you see her in surveillance video holding both phones, both hands, right hand included. So that's another activity that she engaged in with that right hand. Okay. In front of you, I'm showing you Kat's Instagram. Go on her Instagram, Kat, Ms. Marco Polo, MZMARCO Polo. This is the video where where Chloe and Grace meet. There's Grace right there. That Shims in the gray t-shirt that she was hugged up on in the picture, and her hand was draped over his shoulder where it's not injured and where there's no blood on his shirt. If you scroll down, you will see snippets of the transcripts. So go to her page. There are some snippets where this is Priya Sadiani, beautiful lady, but she's shady. And then you see some more snippets of the transcripts and then Kat goes into the contradictions. So like I said, we will together go through the contradictions from the perspective of all the doubt that they provided and why Jonathan should not have been convicted of anything. And if he is granted a new trial or if forced to engage in a new trial, all of this, now that we know the prosecution strategy, we can revisit all of this and potentially get him exonerated. All right, so that's it for this broadcast, or whatever you call it, because like I said, I'm new at this. I'm just freestyling it at this point. I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying it so far. Not going to talk you guys to death. At the end of this stream, I am going to attach the interior of my car just so that you can get an idea of exactly, because it's the same Escalade. The one thing about Escalades, they're going to stay the same, whether it's a 2006 or a 2026. Now, they have, since 2022, 23, they have upgraded them a lot. They actually have an electric one that I'm looking at, but I'm not getting it now because I'm not paying $100,000 for it. But they pretty much look the same for at least 10 years in a row. So mine is a 2019. So that's still pretty late model. So I'm positive that the one that Jonathan was riding in is exactly the same as mine because they did not change it between 2019 and 2021, 22. The layout is definitely the same. The dashboard's probably different, but the layout is definitely the same. So, guys, I will talk to you again. Next time you see me, I will probably be Monday on the Dre Max show because we will be talking about the Good Morning America snippet that we see. And then after that, probably the extended version of that. And then Kat and I will be going through the transcripts. I'm trying to give her some time to read through them because she's been traveling and working. So she hasn't been able to. She's just been pulling out things that stood out to her that she's seen. All right, guys. So I'm going to let you go. I will see you guys again in a couple days. And you guys have a great and wonderful weekend. All right, hey, y'all. Okay, so I'm just doing a quick demonstration of how, Escalades are kind of set up. Those of you who've had them or written in them, already, how they're set up. But I just want you to see how here you see there's a, this is a retractable I don't know, I call it a step, honestly. But as you see from the ground, I have a yardstick, I'm in teacher mode now. It's about 11.5, 12 inches off the ground. So that's a full foot off the ground for the part of the closing arguments where the prosecution was saying how Jonathan had to stand on his tiptoes in order to get her back in the car. It's a foot off the ground. So even me being 5'8" and with my shoes, which are usually about 3 inches in height, whether they're heels or boots or whatever, making me about 5'11", I still have to climb into the car and climb back out. I cannot just jump out or I'll fall. I'll slide out or I'll fall. So it's not a situation where you can just get out like a sedan or a lower profile vehicle. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. I'm also going to show you really quickly the layout. So you see there are 2 bucket seats in the middle. 2 bucket seats in the middle, and then there's that back row. This is the gap that I was referring to as far as how wide apart that gap is, that you can walk through it to get to the back seat. You see the distance between the 2 seats pretty far. And I will measure that for you with my yardstick as well, because I was correct in my guesstimation that it is approximately, let's see, from one seat to the other, it is approximately 17 inches. Okay, so this is the gap that Grace says that she was laying over. I'm guessing the arms were up on the seats to help her lay across, but that's still a pretty sizable gap to lay across on somebody's shoulder and still be able to see a text message. I mean, she must have seen it. She claims she saw it. I don't know. But, excuse the mess, my car's a little dirty. But I figured I would do this demonstration for you guys just so you can have a better idea. Now, as far as the driver said he was looking straight forward. So if you look at my camera, this is me, my forehead, in the rear view mirror. You can look, and I'm looking straight ahead. Okay, I'm looking straight ahead, but you can see with even looking straight ahead, I can also look in the rear view mirror and see what's going on in the back seat. You see how with me looking in the rear view mirror, I can see Jonathan's seat and I can also see her seat. I can also see if she's leaning across, fighting him, if he's leaning across, fighting her. I can see all that while still looking straight ahead. So I was a little curious as to why no one specifically asked him if, okay, you were looking straight ahead, did you still see what was going on through the rearview mirror? Because he could. So I'm hoping that if another trial is granted, hopefully they'll just accept the appeal and vacate the charges and it'll just be done. But if they decide to retry it, I'm hoping that they do ask that question, because I am curious to know that myself. You can perfectly look straight ahead and still see through your rearview mirror what's going on, and you most certainly can hear what's going on in the back seat. So that's it for now. I just wanted to put that out there and give you guys a grand tour of my dirty Escalade, and also so you can kind of see what I was trying to say on prior videos, that it just seemed a little odd that a lot of stuff was being brought up but not expounded upon a little further. All right, that's it. Bye-bye.